Morning. Yes, it is working. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Keys. We're glad you can be here. It's October 1st. Can you believe that? It's like, it's coming. It's coming. October is coming. Sunday is October 1st. We're finishing up September. A lot of things have been going on. We've been busy. 10 of us went to Peach Ash yesterday, had a great time. We had a good birthday lunch in September, and a lot of good things are happening. It's always good to see people that don't want to leave. When we get together, it's hard to get people out. Those of you who missed the clown last week, missed something that was very good and very nice. And we even talked about maybe you were afraid of clowns, and that's why you didn't come. But she did a good job. And the video is still, just so you know, because we're live streaming, and I hope there's some people live streaming today, but the live streaming is saved on the website. So if you go to the Older Adults website, you can see all of the Keys events that have been live streamed. There's an archive of them there. So if you missed last week, it would be worth looking into, because Sniggles the Clown was delightful and had some interesting magic tricks. And she couldn't give me the magic because it wasn't working for me. But glad that you're here. This is October, the October events. There's several of these on the table. There are sign-ups out there. They're not all out there, but trying to get caught up. I talked to Alice last week, and she is at her daughter's doing better and hoping to be back soon. But we now have people picking up her place and getting these out, getting the posters out, getting the sign-ups out. But you really do miss someone when you depend on them that it's going to get taken care of. And I'm working at trying to make sure that the information is out to the people that are doing it now. Because Alice was so good. You know, you have someone for so long, and then they're not there, and you've got to figure out what she did that you should be doing. So I apologize for that, but these are on the tables. There's also some out on the sign-up table. And next week, Mayor Ron Nierenberg will be here, and I hope that you will be. I hope that you will invite someone. Information has been in the bulletin. It was on the screens here. I was in the modern service on Sunday and saw the screens that were there to invite people. I've been talking to people, mixed bag on whether they want to be here for him or not, but let's be kind to our mayor. He is our mayor. And save your criticism of what kind of job he is doing. Let's just receive him. And this is not a political appearance. This is just a let's get together as friends kind of thing. So I hope that nobody is waiting to blindside him when he gets here. Because we found him to be a good guy. You can have one question. We'll put you at his table, and you can sit with him during lunch and ask all the questions that you want. Yeah, and I'm sure he's live streaming today and hearing all of this. But it should be a good day, and we'd be excited. We're excited. And then we have the Kevin, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Bieniek. Becca, do you have any idea? Well, he is a young man, looks like he just graduated from high school, and he's working with the Glenn Biggs Institute for Alzheimer's and Neurodegenerative Diseases. That was a mouthful. And he'll be with us on the 13th. On October 20th, we're going to Casa Rio for our birthday lunch, and following lunch, there will be a river cruise, and they'll pick us up at the restaurant, and so make sure that you plan on that. I don't think the sign-up is out there yet, but I'm working on it. And then Emily Balcom, she's the public relations manager from the Alamo, but was a TV anchor person on Channel 4 for years. And if you want to know anything about Emily, talk to Ellen. She's the one who recommended her, and I talked to her on the phone a couple of times, and I think that we will enjoy that. So October looks good, and make sure that you save your dates. This Saturday, tomorrow, is Love SATX. I know a lot of you have signed up who are going with Jim to Morningside to manage the bingo, to keep the fighting down at the bingo tables. And so I know that some of you are going there. Take a look at the table outside. If you haven't signed up for something yet, it's not too late to get involved. And because I think you're going back to Peachaz. And so there are things to be done for Love SATX. And this is part of our missions emphasis and through the local missions committee. So I understand that there's October birthday here who is almost 90. Might be another year, right? Not quite 90, but we're happy to have Dick with us, Dick and Pat, but Dick McCleary, his birthday is October 1st. And it's not often that we have face-to-face. Any other October birthdays? Yours is October 6th. So, any other October birthdays? Well, let's do something special and sing happy birthday to our October birthdays. I got a little information from somewhere. So let's sing happy birthday to Dick and to Suzanne. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dick and Suzanne. Happy birthday to you. And Harold just walked in the room. Had he been another second sooner, he would have been able to help us sing that a little bit better. Well, we're excited for what we have today. Welcome. I hope there's people on live streaming. But today we have Jeff Carawan. He is, what's your official title? Director of Maintenance?
Director of Property Management.
Yeah, Director of Property Management. And Jeff knows everything about what goes on around this building, and probably things that he wished he didn't know.
Lots of them.
And when the rains come and the waters rise, he's here probably 24/7 for a while, keeping watch on things. I asked him if he would come and share with us, because I know that safety is important. And he's got a handle on that, and I think I thought that some of you would be interested in knowing what the church is doing, what the church has done in the way of keeping us safe. So Jeff, thanks for being here. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Thank you again. My name is Jeff Carawan. I'm the Director of Property Management. I had no idea I was following a clown. And not Joe just giving me the intro, but last week. And then the mayor next week. That's no pressure at all from me. Like Joe said, he asked me to come up and kind of give some information on what the church has done. And then we just did an introduction with our new property committee, letting them know all the stuff. A bunch of folks at the church have no idea the things that we've done over the last, I think, 5 or 6 years. So I'm going to give a little history of that. And we'll go through a little bit of our ALICE training that the staff all does. We just did ushers and greeters. I think there's a few people here who've been through that. But we do the best we can to make this place as safe as it can be, but still be a permissible environment. We're still a church at the end of the day. So, I mean, I'll give some of the history, but see if I can get everything. This is way advanced what I'm used to doing. All of our setups, it all worked perfect. Oh, there we go. Okay, a little history about what we've done here at First Pres. Like I say, I've been here, 10 years on Monday. So back in 2014, when John Siders was still here, he developed a new emergency preparedness guidelines that we went through. And under those current guidelines, when we looked at our security, we did, for any kind of active shooter thing, which is still a fairly new topic, we did what we call the traditional lockdown. So if any kind of a deal we have, we locked down in place and waited for a police response. Traditional lockdown, for those who aren't really familiar with it, is basically just turning off the lights and locking the door. And maybe go hide in a corner somewhere. But we saw pretty quick, after 2017, the Sutherland Springs shooting, that kind of woke us up pretty good. That following, I think it was Tuesday, I sat in on a senior staff meeting. We knew that we had to do something different. Because everything we've always done, doing traditional lockdown, just doesn't work. So it just so happened to be God's timing. The ALICE Training Institute was doing their national organization was doing a training in San Antonio and had a spot open. So they sent me to do that. Like I say, within 1 week, Sutherland Springs, I was certified as an instructor. Spent 2 days in course with SWAT officers from San Antonio and all over the country. And we developed a program here to make everybody safer. So some of the things we've done to improve security, I'm supposed to do this one. We doubled our off-duty police officers. I'm sure everybody notices if you walk by Danny Thompson out on the crosswalk, there's always an officer at the door. We have one officer that generally stays in Narthex area and goes between Narthex and Westminster Hall. We also have an officer who roams throughout the facility, or if we have any incidents, he's the one that can go through and investigate if we see maybe a suspicious person inside the building or outside the building. We have somebody who can roam around and check on things for us. We increased our camera coverage around the campus. We started out with 9 cameras when I started here. We now have 41 cameras throughout the facility with 4 different areas where we can monitor those cameras, see what's going on. It's one of the things that also helps us, as we'll get through, is the informing portion of this program. To where if we were to have a shooter or something going on, a suspicious person, it allows us to coordinate either with the police or through and we'll get to that, our paging system to let people know. So they can make a decision on what they want to do if we have any kind of incident. We added a paging system, which goes through our phones. So from any phone throughout the entire facility, whether it be a phone sitting on Alice's desk in somebody's office, a wall phone, if you dial 460, that puts you through the paging system in the entire facility. So if you saw something that's, definitely now, if it's somebody who's slightly shady looking, you don't want to get on the paging system and announce that. If it's a Sunday morning, find one of the officers. Find one of the people on our house staff who have their radios, can contact the police, and they can check that out. You knew something's going on, if you saw a weapon, your biggest thing, and we'll go through the whole thing, is get out of the building, but if you're able to see it, if you see a police officer, let them know. We installed security window film to all the control access points. and any of the glass entrances. So if you're familiar with the first floor in the children's area, we have controlled access there, but we have these glass doors and glass side lights there. So one of the first things we did is I contracted somebody to come in and put a ballistic coating on those, which doesn't make them bulletproof, but it stops them at that point. They could shoot through. It takes about 5 minutes with a sledgehammer to get through one of those doors right now, the way we designed it. So through all the testing literature and everything I saw, that's what we did. So it's every one of those doors down there. They all have camera points on them also. It's to slow them down for police response. And then we've trained our entire staff in the active shooter response and first aid. Okay, I'll get to the ALVIS portion of this. Now, ALVIS, like I said, I was sent within a week of the Sutherland Springs shooting. Was a program that was actually recommended to us by John Siders because the church he was at the time, like he said, in 2014 designed our old program. And then when he saw the ALVIS stuff, he contacted us right after Sutherland Springs. He saw on the news and said, hey, there's a group. I think they're in San Antonio. Here's the program they do. I was sent to training, came back and trained all our staff because it's an option-based program. What they saw when ALVIS was developed over 20 years ago was after looking at the different events that have happened around the country, whether it be in schools, churches, businesses. I think 75% of the incidents happen in businesses, which the church is both. So what they saw from that is what we've always been doing this training. Traditional lockdown is basically came from, I think it was in LA, their school system there, it was to handle drive-by shootings. So it made sense there to turn off the lights and duck down to a corner, get below the windows. When it came to somebody going into a building and going room to room to inflict as much violence as they can, that doesn't make any sense. You've got to be able to give people other options, and that's what this program does for us. Through awareness and communication, we really have started pushing the last 2 years on situational awareness. To alert, to be able to do that, that's why we expanded our paging system and have come up with different procedures on notifying the officers if we see any issues, to inform them, say through the paging system, through radios, everything we use. And then the response options are with knowing that information that you've received is what is my response going to be? Because ultimately, it's your responsibility. There's a lot of people here. We'll have 4 officers, which I think is great. And that really, a lot of that is the deterrent factor. If somebody's looking for what would be a softer target, if you see 2 officers, the main entrance of the church coming through the parking lot, you're going to generally go somewhere else that's easier to do what those horrible people want to do. Situational awareness, that's something we've really started pressing with our staff now. It's your perception of the environment around you. Do these people look like they're really paying attention to what's going on around them? Now at school, it's kids walking through, talking to each other in the hallway. Somebody's seeing the deal. I mean, one of our biggest problems with situational awareness now, especially in my generation and younger, is cell phones. So if your nose is buried in one of these things, like you'll see everywhere. And I'm old enough where it's annoying to me too when I see people doing that. Especially in a restaurant, sitting there with their family, and everybody's got their nose in there. If somebody were to walk into that restaurant armed, how many people do you think are going to notice? That's really why we push this so much. Because when you're going through, it's also, like I say, comprehending the meaning behind your perception. So you're seeing what's going on there. What does that really mean? Now, situational awareness, a simple way to break this down, it kind of goes back to the stuff after 9/11 when everything was color-coded for threat analysis or threat assessment, is you break it down to what does white mean? White basically means you're completely oblivious of what's going on around you. That's generally somebody on their cell phone. Somebody may just be sitting there in a conversation, not paying attention to what's going on. That's a bad place to be because of what happens if there were to be some incident where you're completely caught off guard. And there's so many, in a lot of this program when we first started, especially I'm an advanced trainer now, so we have access to tons of videos watching these incidents play out. And when you see people, like I remember it was, I think Fort Lauderdale, where the shooter went into the airport, had to go in there, got his check bags out of luggage or the baggage claim, went into a bathroom, loaded up his weapon, and walked out there and just started shooting people walking through. It's the funny thing because when you're sitting there and everybody's pretty much what you would call would be kind of in the white. Sorry, I'm doing my slides, but I'm not doing this one. They've got something in their mind. They're looking at their baggage. So you're sitting there at the luggage carousel and you're watching it and like, where's my bag? And I've got a black bag and everybody else has a black bag and that's what you're watching for maybe that little ribbon tied onto the handle. You're not paying attention. And that's what you saw on everybody's faces. That guy came out of the bathroom and just started shooting people. And there were still people standing there looking for their luggage. It was crazy. And then eventually when you saw the guy run past the people he didn't shoot, they're still standing there just kind of looking. Caught off guard. They don't know how to respond to it. So when we really look for is being the yellow. For us, the yellow doesn't necessarily mean you are waiting there, for something horrible to happen, but you're aware of your environment. I generally think of myself as being in the yellow when I leave my front door in the morning. I'm walking out to my truck. Is there some strange dude sniffing around the neighborhood? We all kind of do that when you're outside your house. The important thing is to kind of stay there. It doesn't mean you're fearful. That's the whole thing about this. Not to be fearful of things, but just to be aware. So when you're in orange, that would be, say I was here on a Sunday and I saw a guy coming through. Maybe he's going around checking doorknobs or something. That's odd. Doesn't mean there was some horrible thing. He could be somebody that's lost. We won't assume the worst thing, but at the same time, you're going to know. Then maybe you start going over into red. Red is something's bad enough where you're like, I need to bring this into somebody else's attention. You're starting to think about, if this does go the wrong way, what am I going to do at this point? So black is the worst place to be on the scale. Black generally comes from somebody being surprised by something because they were in the white. So there have been so many incidents they talk about, and I think one was specific to a church. They were sitting up in the front row on a Sunday morning, and there's gunshots behind them. Now, their immediate thing they thought was somebody sitting up there in the front row, and they're thinking, oh, the kids must have gotten balloons in Sunday school, and they're probably just some kids back there in the pocketing balloons. There's a guy back in the back shooting the place up. They didn't even turn around. Because they're not even thinking about, when they're on the scale, they're up in white, and they're like, I got my seat. I sit here every day. I'm good waiting for the service to happen. They're in the white. Or they're that person who's there at Fort Lauderdale, was sitting there looking for their baggage. You're not expecting to hear gunshots when you're at an airport, in a secure facility. So that's kind of the thing, like I say, is when you're here, you're in public. You know all your friends are here, and that's great. You should be relaxed and calm. As the church is a place you should be there, but still kind of keep your eyes open. Kind of look around, you're thinking about, what room you're in. What would I do if somebody were to walk through that door right there? How many other exits are in this room? Does anybody know? Y'all come here a lot. Does anybody know how many exits we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus windows. Windows are one of those things a lot of people overlook. Anything below 3 floors is fairly safe to jump if you had to, which is a horrible thing to think about, but if it was between that and being shot by somebody, if I was trapped in a room and couldn't evacuate, I think about it. When I'm here on Sunday, I generally go to the modern service, and I'm usually sitting somewhere that I can see the doors just to come in through there. I don't really try to scare my wife, so I don't really talk about it, but that's what I do. And I'm cued in when somebody's walking in, which is horrible to be that easily distracted, but I think about it. I'm not saying you should try to sit somewhere where you can see the exits all the time. But I'm thinking, if somebody will walk in, which way am I going? I'm going through that door over there. It goes right through the kitchen to the stairwell and goes out of the building. If somebody were to come through the kitchen, I'm going through that door. It's just a simple thing to play out a strategy wherever you are. This information that I'm giving you today really isn't just for being here at First Pres. It's being anywhere you go, whether it be going shopping at H-E-B or if you're at Walmart, movie theater, library, anywhere you are, all of these principles are the same. So be aware, of the exits of anywhere you go is helpful. So you don't want to get stuck in the black. You're unaware and unprepared, people in the white. Okay, they actually go through all these. So we'll just skip on through. Sorry, people who are doing streaming. Oh, I think Joe said it'd be maybe 3,000 or 4,000 we expected for me. And probably the clown and the mayor, same thing. Okay. ALERT is the first acronym for Alice. So when we're looking at ALERT, that's how are you realizing that something's going wrong. Information you receive is from your senses, whether it be your hearing, you hear something. Now, if there was somebody, an active shooter here, probably your first indication that if you didn't see that person come in, would be you hearing gunshots. It's important not to dismiss something, it's what they call the normalcy bias. Like I said, that person sitting in the front of that church heard gunshots in the back and immediately thought, oh, kids are popping balloons back there. It's never happened before in the sanctuary, but it can't be a gunshot in this safe place I'm at. That doesn't fit here. So your mind automatically wants to normalize that to make you feel safe, which is something we do with everything. Same thing when somebody's, outside. It was, I think one of the incidents was a family party and heard gunshots and immediately thought, oh, it's probably a car backfiring. That was pretty common 30, 40 years ago, but when's the last time anybody heard a car backfire anymore with modern engines? But you normalize it to feel safe. It's just something your mind automatically does. Important thing is to think, if something's out of place, why is it out of place? I heard something. That doesn't fit here. I heard screaming that wasn't just little kids down on the first floor, or I saw people running down the hallway on a Sunday morning. That doesn't fit what's going on. One of the things that show there's a nose, odd, maybe if we had a fire or something, you'd smell smoke, and that is another thing we could look out for. Touch, try to go back to the fire thing, and then taste. Yeah, I'm still trying to tie that one in, how that would work. But you kind of get the thing. I'll go back to our paging system, dial 46 from any phone at church. It'll connect you directly through. We put speakers specifically through the hallways and common spaces where you don't have phones. It basically takes over every phone for the speaker function, but also in any common area or in the hallways, it takes over, cuts into phone calls, so if somebody's on the phone, they won't miss the alert of what's going on. And I think we go through. Sorry, I totally redid this for this program. Okay, the information we give if you were to be on a paging system or you're speaking to one of the officers if you saw something going on. You're providing information on what your situation is, you want to provide real-time information. Hey, I just saw this guy. Or hey, you don't want to go find somebody. Well, about 20 minutes ago, I saw a strange guy trying to get through the window down on the first floor. We really push not using code words. Like I say, all our staff is trained in this. We don't use code words. We won't ever call out some kind of a strange color code or give some kind of a number because not everybody who's here on Sunday is going to know any of that. Or, as we've had a lot of visitors here late, which is great for the church, they're not going to know what we do, what our system is. There's a great video we showed. It was a hospital at ER where there was an active shooter in the waiting room shooting at the person behind the desk, and they started calling codes. They called a code silver. If you were there visiting somebody at the hospital, you heard them call code silver, what are you thinking? That they're generally looking for somebody, a lost elderly person. It has nothing to do with an active shooter event. That's why we don't use any kind of code system. Use plain language, like I say, no codes. Providing the information allows individuals to know what decision to make based on their training. So as we're training all of our staff, like we do for the children's area has been through this training 6 times now. They're probably really getting tired of hearing from me. But they do drills quarterly. And so on those drills, we're very specific on giving the information. We can do a separate paging system for just the children's area and call out and let them know in this situation, we give it through a drill. This is an hour's drill. Repeat, this is an hour's drill. For this drill scenario, there is an active shooter has been spotted on the 2nd floor or on the 3rd floor. For them, it allows them to make the decision, okay, if the guy is on the 3rd floor, I've got toddlers in my room or infants, they have the choice to make a decision what do they do. Evacuation, which is probably the best thing you can do in any kind of situation, is getting out of the building. I think there's very few, if any, cases of somebody following people leaving to shoot outside. It usually takes place right in that building. So it gives them the choice of evacuating. They know if there's a shooter on the third floor, they'll have time to take the infants out of the building, or to do an advanced lockdowns, which we've trained for, and put devices in their doors, on every door down the children's area, who may not have the option to evacuate, especially if they have toddlers. There's only 2 teachers and 8 toddlers. That's an issue. So we've given them the option of advanced lockdown to be able to secure their door with a lock and have a secondary auxiliary locking device to lock their door down. And then we train for them and our staff, which is the opposite of what we do for fire drills. In fire drills, the staff from 2nd, 3rd floor go down to the 1st floor and help carry babies out. So we really had to be careful in our training that they knew if the teachers had done their job right, they can't get to the kids in there to be able to take them out. So go outside the building, and if you want to help, take kids out of the window and get them away from the building. Like I say, it's multiple options that we're looking at. So if we knew, in our scenario, if there was an active shooter on the 3rd floor, they're going to evacuate. Or if there maybe 1 teacher's out of the room, and you had for a second, and you had 1 teacher with 5 or 6 kids, they would immediately go into lockdown. It gave them options instead of doing the standard way of just locking the door, turning off the light. Because some of these events, as they study these, that never really works out. The guy's coming through to inflict the most casualties he possibly can. They shoot out the lock, and they're in the room, and everybody's kind of sitting in a corner. After looking at and investigating, it was the Virginia Tech shootings. They went back and investigated. That was a huge case study of everything that was done right and wrong. They found that the shooter had been going to a local gun range and trained by setting targets in a row on the ground and walking down the range and shooting targets. So that's what they're expecting. These guys want the easy victims, where they go in a room. We've been training, doing a traditional lockdown for over 20 years now, actually over 30 years now. That's what they're looking for. We really mess them up when we're doing something different and giving people options. The whole thing we do this for is to empower our staff and any visitors here. I've trained our ushers greeters. I've trained our Sunday school teachers for the children's area. I think we're fixing to do youth here pretty quick. And like I say, all of our staff has been trained multiple times, all the teachers downstairs in the daycare center. It's to let people know that you have options and you can make those decisions. We're giving them information to make the best decision they can. We do that by offering the information by doing our PA, which is through our voice over IP phones. Text could be one thing. That's really not something we're going for. And there's multiple apps out there, but trying to keep everybody updated on a single app. And I really don't want people looking at their phone trying to figure out what's going on. They know to listen for things and look for things. And since we did secure access, I know it was kind of annoying when we first started, but during COVID, we did secure access out here on Avenue E, has really kept things a lot safer in the building. There are no unlocked doors Monday through Friday here. And the only unlocked doors on Sunday are Avenue E and at the narthex. We have an officer at both points. I get ahead of myself, I'm sorry. It's just giving clear information if you're talking to a police officer. Most of this stuff is directly for our staff because they're trained on what to say and what to do. They're making a 911, but it's also important for you if you were to see something and you evacuated the building to get out of there, is for you to know the information that you're passing on to police officers. Or if you happen to go out the doors and our police officers don't know something's going on yet, give them the information where they can go, and they're immediately going to do an all points bulletin out on their radios. They're off duty, but they're still in the police network, and that was one of the best things we did. And the reason we chose our off-duty officers is their tie into the police department, what their response would be. So we use paging system. Look through the hallways, you'll see these speakers everywhere. That's one of our phones. And that's the walkie-talkies that all of our house staff has. Corinda, who's our facility director, has one of those on Sunday. All the police officers are on the same radios. They have their police units, but they also have one of our radios. They're generally running on channel 2. House staff runs on 1, and they can switch in between with just one turn the knob, and they're speaking and letting you know what's going on. Evacuation. I love this picture. This is more for kind of the school thing. The first thing, and it seems goofy, but you have permission to evacuate if it is safe to do so. A lot of this is really geared towards schools. If anybody's taught in a school, this is a really hard sell for a lot of people, letting them know. And I obviously go through, my daughter's fixing to turn 13, she's in junior high. They're still doing traditional lockdown. I think pretty much every school in San Antonio does traditional lockdown. And I've always told her, I said, hey, if you have the opportunity, get out of the school. I don't care what your teacher says. You can't be in trouble. Don't worry about that. Get out of there. And my brother is a teacher. He's taught for 13 years in high school. I've finally gotten through to him. It's only taken 5 or 6 years to let him know, hey, Cole, please break a window and get the kids out of the room. Oh, I don't know, for years and years, because they'd only leave if they're used to the fire drill where you're lining all the kids up and you all go out there together and you're counting heads and doing all that. But I'd really rather, the way our instructor, told us, when you talk to the teachers, he'd say, or to a parent who was scared that their kid may randomly run off on their own out to the schoolyard, was I'd rather have the call from the police that we haven't located your kid yet versus the call to identify somebody's body. The police will flood this area. Our police response time, we assume, will be under 5 minutes. The only problem with that is that's a great response time. The national average right now is running, I think, 17 minutes, but it also includes rural areas. But most of these incidents now are running under 5 minutes. Some are getting down as low as 4 minutes. And that's why we thought it was so important to educate people at the church to know it's really in your hands. Like I say, we have 4 officers here, which I think will do a great job handling anything. The best thing they're doing is being here. Their uniforms as a deterrent, but you have options. Lockdown. We do an advanced lockdown. Like I said, we don't do the traditional where you're just simply locking a door and turning off the lights. We talk about, and I generally go through when we're doing ours, and I'll take my belt off, wrap it around the door closer bars, wrap it around these. I could do a supplementary locking for almost any door around here. We're letting people know there's options. Whether it's just stacking a bunch of chairs there. These guys are going through, they know they're on a time crunch. They know the police are probably on their way, and they're going to go to an easy target. If they run into doors that have chairs, desks, somebody's running an extension cord on the door, pull it tight, they're not going to sit there and play tug of war with you for 2 or 3 minutes. They're going to go on to an easy target somewhere else. That's one of the things that we really train a lot in our lockdown, our advanced lockdown. We do have time and opportunity to evacuate. You will need to control your room. Or we do not have time to opportunity to evacuate and control your room. So you see how they just stacked a bunch of stuff up there. I think there was it may have been Kent State here fairly recently had a call in for one. We didn't actually have that shooter. But they were going around, and police were paying attention as they went through the different areas of school looking for the possible shooter. It ended up not being one. And when they got to the engineering department, how impressed they were on what the engineers had done. They were still doing more or less a traditional lockdown, but the engineering department was like, you know what? We can keep somebody from coming to that door. They stacked every desk up there perfectly, ran a rope and extension cords, had that thing tied in. I wish they still had the picture of that. It was amazing. There's no limit what you can do as far as blocking somebody's door. Like I said, this whole thing is really buying time for police response. They're going to move on to an easier target. Advanced lockdown stuff that we have done, I talked a little bit about that. All these doors all have that window coating now to prevent somebody from going through. We have controlled access key ports. We change the codes periodically. We give those, the teachers update those, I think weekly now, if I remember right, for every Sunday. The picture on the right there is actually showing what they do. They put the coating on the glass, and they run a bead of special bonding. It's a caulk they use. It basically ties that film into the frame of the window. So if the window is shattered, that film holds everything together. It is really, really hard for someone to get through. I actually talked to the company that did that. They did, I think, Bike World here in town, where somebody kept smashing out windows and grabbing bikes and they're getting out of there. They put this stuff in there and showed on their camera where a guy was out there with a crowbar for, I think, over 5 minutes with a crowbar trying to smash out one of the windows and finally gave up. It only cost him one window. So he's very impressed with his product. Barricading different types of doors is thinking about door opening. Now, I'm a carpenter by trade, so I'm always looking at what you call door swing. There's different ways to barricade different doors depending on which way they go. If a door runs into the room, it's easy to stack stuff up there. Now, these doors, being in a public building, always swing out to the outside. So it's a different thing to be able to barricade these kind of doors, but you have to keep that in mind what you're doing. Taking, for me, there's all these extension cords somewhere. I would wrap it around the handles, tie a knot in one of the deals, run it under the door with a knot on the outside, and just stand away from the doorway and hold that back. When I did my training for certification, we had all the SWAT guys. They were really creative because they ran into all kinds of barricaded facilities all the time. So working there with those guys was awesome. Pretty inventive on the stuff they can do on those. Once the door is controlled, spread out within the room, away from the door and windows. If you have a locked door, the guy's going to shoot through the door trying to shoot the lock out. You don't ever want to stand in front of a door, the fatal funnel. Get away from that, get away from any window. That's kind of an odd one. Generally, I think it's 99.9% of these events, there's one person's involved. The guy's in the building shooting is generally not going to have somebody on the outside. But still, stay away from her, especially if it's a window in the door, that makes more sense. So they can't see you. If they can't see you, you're not really a target. So if you're trapped in a room, you barricade the door, get away from the door in case he gets frustrated and wants to shoot through it. Don't huddle in a corner on the floor. Be ready to move or distract the intruder if they make entry into the room. Now, when we're training our teachers downstairs, it's really having them go through, and last time we did their training, we went through each of the rooms. And I had them identify, we practiced those teachers in that room how to do their door, located the window they would use to get kids out of the window, and then looked around the room about things they could use. I'm probably jumping ahead again, but we call counter or distraction. Is what in this room can I throw at somebody if I had to do something? What is an improvised weapon if I had to use it? Now, we don't train people to fight or anything, but if somebody's coming into a room with a gun and having to aim it at you, you want to do something to distract them. It's not very easy to shoot somebody with a handgun if they have something flying at their head. That's something we do with their training, and also there's a book that goes along with this training. They train our kids and just to run around and scream the entire time. Which is crazy. It's kind of the school of fish mentality. Way harder for them to inflict casualties versus all the kids lined up or staying in the corner. Or what we used to do was have all the kids hide in the bathroom. That's what happened at Sandy Hook. The kids are hiding in the bathroom. So the room he broached and found the kids, it was 100% casualties in those rooms. The kids hide in the bathroom. It's fish in a barrel versus a school of fish running around. Now that's mostly we use downstairs for the kids. Their go bucket for them is having some of the kids' medications, diapers, wipes, stuff like that, juice boxes, things. Now our kids, just so you know, sorry to include that in there, is if we were to have any kind of incident, and that could be anything from active shooter, fire, bomb threat, anything, our kids gather up and head over to the, what was the hotel in the corner? I'm sorry, it's changed names. The hotel right over there. We used to go over to Grace Lutheran, but Grace Lutheran is not as functional anymore. So we have permission to go over there with the kids. And so all the parents have been notified of that. That's kind of our backup area. It's a safe area for us. Once we've gathered everybody up, we have and we'll get to that. There's a rally point we have. It's in the back 40. We take everybody over there to that hotel, and that's where the parents will come. We've only used that one time since I've been here. We had a suspicious package outside one of the doors, and it was when John Sider was still here, and I went to him and I said, hey, there's a suspicious package. He's like, well, you have any idea? I was like, I don't know. It's kind of odd looking. And he's like, immediately pulled the fire handle, cleared the building, took all the kids over to Grace Lutheran at the time. And then my job, after the bomb squad got here, was to intercept all the parents ripping into the parking lot over here and running into the building with a firearm going. Parents, they're you know what you do for your kids. So counter strategies. Techniques to overwhelm the intruder, distraction techniques, like I'm talking about, throwing things. One of the things we do in our normal training is I give everybody a foam squeeze ball. We have somebody stand up here with a toy gun with a laser. I try to have them hold the laser on one point. And then everybody at one time, when I give them a command, throws that ball. And you can watch that gun point somewhere else because you can't concentrate on something like that. It's just a reflex. If something's thrown at you, especially at your head, you're going to duck. One of the things they do for the church training is to have everybody sit in the sanctuary and throw, basically they were just cloth books, hymnals. So if you were in church and somebody came in there, you've got a Bible there to throw, which I don't think that'd be blasphemy, really. Hymns, purse, anything you have, that guy goes in there, throw it at him. He's not taking an aim shot, and these guys don't expect anybody to fight back. A lot of people, wonder because they see the type of weapons they're using. These guys aren't SEAL Team 6. They're not Delta Force operators going in and do these things. They are easily countered and distracted if we want to take the option. I can say all these things, and we let everybody know it's your decision. I'm going to go down and fight, and that's my plan. I'm there to protect my family. I'm going to throw something at them or do the swarms counter. These will cover. Overwhelming decision-making process, just throw something at them, break it up. Brain cannot perform two functions at the same time. I know that's true for me. Provide time for you to use other techniques or strategy. Like I say, everything we're doing is buying time. Trying to get out is the best thing to do. Using environmental objects around you to make the distractions. Like I say, if I'm in the sanctuary or you're out in the hallway somewhere, throw a purse. Throw something out of your purse. Anything. To distract them enough for you to get away from them. Pathway of the brain is through the visual path. Yeah, this makes no sense at all. Yeah, I love that one. I didn't write this one. Decision-making process is have anybody heard of the OODA loop? OODA loop is, I forgot who came up with that. I think it was a colonel in the Army. And there's 4 basic parts of every decision-making process. Observe, orient, decide, and act. Everything you do is going to go through that 4-step process. If somebody throws me a ball, I'm going to observe the ball coming to me. I'm going to orient. Orient is seeing, okay, where's that ball relative to myself? Do I need to move in position to catch that ball? Decide that I'm going to catch that ball. Or if I was batting, I see the ball coming, I see it, where it's at, am I deciding I'm going to take a swing or not as a ball or a strike? And then you decide, or then you act on that decision that you made. So there's all these different things going in there. So when they're thinking of an active shooter there, when they're lining up to shoot somebody, they're having to go through these same loops. The idea of distracting them is to break that OODA loop. Throwing something else in there, now that's changed their OODA loop. They have to start over and go through another one. So I threw a ball at his head. Now that changed everything. He's no longer thinking about aiming or shooting a gun. He's having to react to that ball coming at him. Somebody else throws something at him. He's now turned the gun on me. That's breaking that thing. It's breaking that OODA loop the entire time. It slows them down. Control. Grabbing, controlling the appendage of an intruder that will prevent him from using the weapon appropriately. Personal decision, and it can be accomplished by many people. We train on this by using that same fake gun. We'll have some mats laid out on the floor. We'll have somebody be the intruder for us, and I'll assign 4 people. Now, when we did it in my instructor training, we had the biggest SWAT guy they had there. And then there was only 4 or 5 ladies there who actually came from a school district. Those 4 ladies took that guy down. Everybody went up there, grabbed an arm or a leg and watched that big 240-pound SWAT guy slam down on the floor as 4 ladies got him. So now like I say, and they do the little thing there, this is a personal decision. Maybe not what you're doing. But no, that is a possible option for you. Even having a big dude there, and maybe you're not a big person, but grabbing on him slows him down, prevents him doing something. But every case I've seen this, and every one of these trainings we've done, they almost inevitably hit the ground and drop the weapon. And that's really the whole thing, is controlling them. So it's not teaching somebody Taekwondo and putting them in some crazy hold. It's just holding on to their arm or leg. He can't really do much. If people jumped in there and swarmed somebody, I don't know if y'all remember Reagan assassination attempt. They used to show the video for that. So the guy took the shot at him, and the Secret Service guys immediately swarmed him. They didn't take a shot. I don't think there was any other shots fired. They were such close proximity, everybody just grabbed an arm or leg and took that dude to the ground. Threw Reagan in a limousine in the hospital, and that's all they did. They didn't fire a gun. But you did see the guys pull out Uzis instead of perimeter, but they used this technique to defend the president. They control 2 arms, 2 legs, then the head, and the technique can be used, and they're just kind of our disclaimer for it. We obviously don't teach our young children downstairs. This isn't really part of it. But anyway, it's just another option to keep in mind if you're thinking of a scenario. Like, I hope people will kind of play that in your head a little bit. What would I do if this happened? Not to be fearful here at church, but just to know it is something to think about where you don't want to be caught going from white to black. A secure weapon, I'll kind of skip through some of that, but just something to keep in mind because I've asked this question all the time. If he were to be swarmed or drop the weapon for a reason, don't hold the weapon in your hand. Beyond the normal safety issue, if our police officer is responding to a shooting and they're not standing right there, they're looking for somebody with a gun. You don't want to be that person standing there with a gun. Everybody always asks me, like, hey, I have my concealed carry license. I carry concealed at church. Where does this play into that? It goes back to the same principle to me. If you're carrying that gun and there's a shooting, it might not be in the room you're in, and you immediately go dirty Harry and you whip your gun out. Those police officers are clearing a room. Now you're the guy or gal with a gun. That's something to keep in mind. Because I've had several people like, oh, if I hear a shot down there, I'm going to run down there with my gun. I'm going to stop it. And I say, no, you're going to be the guy running down the hallway with a gun in your hand, and our roamer or 2 other officers at the entrances are going to see you running down the hallway with a gun in your hand. I do a lot of firearms training, and I do training for other people. I'm very proficient, but that'll be a very rare case where I'm ever going to draw a weapon in one of these incidents. There's a few that it's worked out successfully on there, and I'm not against carry. I love carry. I carry all the time when I'm not at work. That's something to keep in mind when you're doing that, when we have police officers on site, is not to be that person. We train for this, actually I'm on the wrong slide, sorry. Have a trash can there, or maybe you put it in your purse or something, get it out of the way, away from that person where they can't get back to their firearm, and get it out of the situation. Let the people hold them till the officers arrive. The weapon is out of the situation, and you're not a threat because the police officer is not going to see that you have a gun. You can give it to them after the fact. But be aware if you're ever handling any weapon of what that could lead to. Jumps ahead. Okay. There's a couple things I want to kind of share a little bit before we go to questions. One of the things we did after this, they also sent me to do a gunshot wound treatment class. We started doing this, and I thought to myself, and a lot of this for us, I feel like we're really covered on Sundays with our officers here. For our staff, our Monday through Friday was our biggest hole in our security. We don't have officers here during that time. So I thought if we were to have one of these incidents, we won't have quite the same police response time. If we have somebody who has a gunshot wound, when seconds count. So I got sent off for it. I developed MFAT kits that we go through. It was, all right, Joe, do we have time for me to go through some of that? Real quick. Of course, we have our normal ouchie boo-boo kits. That's for scratches and abrasions, which thankfully that's all we usually ever use. I have training for this, but I'm not certified as a trainer for this portion. But our thought here with this is that we know on Sundays we have several medical professionals that are members of our church. We're blessed with that. This is to have the materials on hand for them if they were to ever need to use those things, if we had some kind of event. We're waiting on paramedics to get there, or we're waiting for things to be secure here before paramedics come in the building. This gives us options. This one came from the second floor workroom over here. We keep one here in the sound booth and here in Westminster. We keep one in the narthex and the usher's closet over in the sanctuary. Well, also, I didn't grab one, but we have AEDs. Everybody on staff is trained on first aid and using the defibrillator or AED that we keep on site. There's 5 of those here at the facility. So this is just one deal we have. Just so you know some stuff we have in here, we have tourniquets, 2 regular Cat 7 tourniquets for appendages, for arterial bleeds, SWAT-T tourniquets, Z-fold wound packing, hemostatic, which actually stops bleeding. Run 2 pressure bandages, Israeli type, all kinds of gauze, gloves, everything, hopefully, that if we have a medical practitioner here on site, we'll have the tools they need to help those people before our paramedics arrive. That's just one of the things we keep here. Does anybody have any questions about any of the security stuff we do? Or things you see that you may think we may have overlooked? Because this is an ever-evolving thing here at the church. New incidents come up. This training packet that I go through, I just redid this one, but it's changed every year. I'm always surprised when I'm doing one. I have to go through them and make sure I'm not missing something, because there's always new things coming up. Anybody have anything? Am I that good? I'm sorry. Whether you recognize them or not. That's another thing we have to keep them. Yeah. Well, that's only on the phones that are part of the church, yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. There's a million scenarios to think about. Like just going off the information you're giving me, I notify my class. Maybe the biggest thing you can do is the whole time deal. Is you getting out of the building, where so much of our stuff when we're doing our fire safety training is to help everybody, but the biggest thing is getting you can't be the person that runs around and lets everybody know. The biggest thing you can do is like letting your class know, hey, I saw something really odd here. You know what, let's go. Get people down an exit, catch one of the officers at one of the exterior doors going out, let them know what you saw. As far as you can make that call when you get outside. That's kind of one of the things we do in our things is the reason we didn't do the app. I want their attention in and getting out of there. That's the best thing you can do. You're not helping anybody for me, because they're always asking me, because like I say, I do firearms training stuff. They're like, well, what if you go do this? And that was originally the area where we were going. I was like, guys, that's really not the deal we want to do. We want to give people out of the building is the best thing we do. So I would try to find Danny or somebody, call 911. Now, they'll get that 911 call out on their radios. It's going to be an APB goes out on all their radios. They keep tuned in, not their church radios, but all their tactical radios. If you call 911, that goes out to all points. They're going to get that notification. Now, if you happen to see one or your exit, the best way away from the way you saw the shooter go, happens to be going by Danny or one of the guys at one of the doors, great. Stop and let them know. Hey, I saw a guy with a gun up there. Give as much of a description as you can. Let them respond. They're going to put that same call out that your 911 call is going to do. If you're not absolutely sure, you know what? If you see a weapon, that's 100% you know. see somebody suspicious, that's maybe where you go. There's you know where the Coke machine is on 3rd floor? There's a wall phone there. That's not necessarily a 460 thing that you want to broadcast everywhere. Call whoever's sitting at reception. Just dial 0 on that phone or 2 zeros or either one. Talk to the receptionist, let them talk to Danny. And then let them come investigate. If it's something, it was just not passing the sniff test for you, better safe than sorry. Maybe get your class out of there and go talk to Danny, let them investigate. Yes, sir. Something I've looked into, I think you have to be, I don't know that we can have Narcan without some kind of a license. I'm not really sure if that's something we can keep. It's the same thing with this. I can't train anybody on how to use a tourniquet. I've been trained for it, but I'm not an instructor. It's the tools having it there. If I thought we could have something like that, that'd be great. I know a lot of police officers do. Let me talk to Danny and see if any of his officers who are here carry. We've had several OD incidents around the property. So that, now for the defibrillator or AEDs that we have, there's 5 in the facility, 4 in this main facility and 1 in Student Center. Everybody on staff is trained every 2 years. Our certification is 2 years. So we do first aid, so we do blood stop, stuff not quite getting this advanced. But we go through some basic wound packing, how to make improvised tourniquets, which aren't nearly as effective, and that's why I made sure we had real tourniquets here. So that is something we do. Oh, yeah. It does. No, it's great. Our defibrillators are really easy. I'm actually in charge of, I change our pads, there's expiration on everything there, battery life, we check all that stuff. When you open that thing up, it's loud, and it's gonna let you know exactly what to do. Exposing the patient, and on the pads themselves, there's very clear color pictures on where you place the defibrillation pads, and it does everything. So you basically put the pads on somebody and step back. It's doing everything for you. So it's looking for any kind of fibrillation or any issues that are going on. It makes a decision whether or not it's going to imply a shock. I don't even think on our particular one that you even press a shock button, it's all automatically. But it warns you to stand clear before it does that. And I think ours battery is actually rated for quite a bit of use. They needed to be. But yeah, our just like I say, the same reason I keep these. Kind of be cognizant of where those are when you see them around the church. We have one right over here by the 2nd floor by the workroom. It's on the wall. You can almost see it from this doorway. We have another one over here by Narthex around the corner is that little seating area. There's one right there. On the 2nd floor before you walk into Narthex, there's one right there on the wall there. There's one up on 3rd floor. It's towards, I guess, the stairway down here on this end. And there's one down below, which is directly below the one here on the 2nd floor by the workroom, directly there. And one on 1st floor Student Center. Kids. Most of our activities on the 1st floor, so we just kept it on that one. Yeah, and it'll also, when you pull the defibrillator out of there, it'll cause an alarm in that actual box to alert people around you that you may need help helping somebody else. So you're not stuck there by yourself. That way you could notify them to call 911 as you're taking defibrillator to somebody who needs it. Yes, ma'am. Actually, that's a good idea. We'll look at doing that. Oh, she was asking, we just redid our maps. We have those maps everywhere. Now that was kind of a little bit of a marketing thing. I'll see how long they're going to keep those up. That may be something that gets pulled here pretty quick. We'll see, as far as maybe having something more permanent put up that lists those kind of things. Where our first aid areas are and where we have the AEDs placed. far as the ushers and greeters, Wendy Garcia does the training for that. So I think the main one of the year each year she has me do. If y'all like that done more often, let Wendy know. I'd be happy to do it anytime. Now, there's not huge changes. There's not anything going to be out of date. Now, if we were to do something here in the facility-wise, we try to advertise that. That may be something we put in a bulletin or whatnot if we were to do things. Like, nobody's asked about the fence outside. The fence, we hope, will be completed here in a few weeks. We're still waiting for a few pieces. We did that. It was kind of a hard decision even for me. I get to deal with all the issues with not having a fence, with all the spray painting and broken lights and broken windows, but we just got to the point, we started adding it up. I've probably spent over $30,000 in the last 10 years on broken windows and lights and graffiti. So we have a problem in San Antonio, we know that. Most major cities do. We don't want anything, we did it in a way that wasn't going to be imposing or unwelcoming to the folks around us. At the same time, we have to be good stewards with our money and protect the facility that we have. It's gotten pretty bad. There's a lot of horror stories that I can tell you. But that will also help, especially our Monday through Friday. Now on Sundays, there'll be sliding gates in most of the areas. The entire stairwell will be opened up for the front of the narthex for the sanctuary. The other gates we're putting up will be open, but we're still keeping things secure. And every exit that you have in the building will have a corresponding panic bar exit on the fence. You won't be trapped on our property. From anywhere you go out, there'll be a corresponding gate with a panic bar to be able to leave. So that's something we have to look at with this training. If we got everything right outside the building and trapped them in the facility, you're kind of defeats the purpose. Or for fire egress. Do you have any other questions? Yes. Our rally point here, especially for our staff and children's area, is the back 40, which is now in a fenced area, which kind of helps keep the kids together. We don't have kids wandering off somewhere. That's where we do head counts. That's where we'll have police response after they come to the building. It'll find us there. But I tell our folks whenever they leave the building, at the nearest safest exit, go a block over if you need to. You don't have to walk right down the sidewalk. Get away from the building. Work your way back around. Going on once the police have gotten here. I hope and pray we won't ever have any issues, especially on a Sunday. I think it's highly doubtful, but everybody always hopes they won't have an issue. And they don't do anything to prepare for it. And then, like I say, the color code, you're white and caught in black. That's where you don't want to be. So, anyway. Yes, ma'am. We have a few things. We put that fence up, I think it was 2 years ago, Joe? It cut down a lot of the issues we have, but us being downtown, we still have issues, catalytic converter thefts, a few break-ins. Now our issues we have as far as having homeless folks panhandling in the parking lot, that's cut down, in my observation, probably 95, 98%. We don't have the same issues where people are walking from Cam, cutting across to go to Travis Park or wherever else, and hitting cars on the way in or panhandling through the parking lot. It's cut down that a lot. But at the end of the day, we're still downtown. The smash and grabs are so fast. Somebody pulls in with a car, hits a couple of cars, they're gone. I mean, it's something that still happens occasionally, but those incidences are way down. Be aware, and that's why I say, like when I leave here, especially when I tell the girls downstairs who are leaving at the end of the day, I'm like, guys, you gotta be really careful walking out to your car. I know the first thing you do, maybe you're calling your husband or you're saying, hey, what do you want to make for dinner? And you stop at the store, if your head's buried in that phone, you're an easy target. Those are the guys you're looking for. Our whole thing we do is to not be an easy target. The same thing's for you and your safety is walking out there. If I'm out there, I don't even look at my phone when I'm walking out. I may glance at it, I'm pocketing it, and I've got my keys out, and I'm a grown man. I'm getting to my truck, locking the door, and then I can look at my phone if I need to. Just be aware. We're downtown. Things happen here. Do we have anything else?
One more.
Yes, ma'am. We have 40 cameras around the facility, and 41 including in the parking lot. We do not have cameras out there. A lot of people think that would really do a lot for us. The best it would do was be a deterrent. That's the kind of thing we've had. We've had incidents here where we had a homeless person come inside to use the restroom and then sneak out and got out of camera view for a second, went to the library, stole somebody's laptop, somebody who was visiting, and then made it out the door. Now, I've got great footage and pictures of a homeless guy stealing a laptop. Shared it with San Antonio, didn't hear anything. Saw the guy again, called SAPD, followed him on foot with a picture that I had taken from the cameras, still nothing. They lost him. They're not going to put up, I know we all watch CSI and we do everything, think, oh, we got a picture of a guy. You're going to get a grainy picture of a guy in a hoodie breaking into a car. San Antonio and our DA are not going to be able to do much about it. They're not going to throw up roadblocks around San Antonio for somebody getting a $50 purse stolen. It's just not. The deterrent factor is something that made us consider it, but infrastructure-wise, being able to communicate back to the facility from that distance with a wireless system just wasn't worth what we saw at the time. It may be something we're still, like I say, we're always looking to change this thing and evolve our security here. But at the time, it just hasn't really made sense to do just yet.
But we need to have lunch.
Sorry. I thought I was going to do 30 minutes.
Yeah, he says, we have an hour. I don't have an hour's worth of stuff. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. Do you feel a little bit safer knowing that our church leadership has thought these things through and have basically trained Jeff in a lot of ways to train us? And it's unnerving when you hear of a shooting, and especially a shooting in a church, and you wonder, could that be us? And it could be, but there's a lot of precautions that we've taken that hopefully we're safe. I would say we are safer on a Sunday. So be assured. Let me pray. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the information that we've gotten. Thank you for Jeff, for the time and effort and personal investment that he's made in our personal safety. And thank you for the work of all of the leadership of the church and making good decisions to have the right things in place. Pray that you be with us today. Give us good fellowship around these tables as we share this lunch. Ask your blessing on the food, blessing on those who will serve it and those who have prepared it. And again, give us a good time of fellowship today. In Jesus' name, amen.